Hi world, it's about 8:30 in the morning. It's the 12th of February 2016. The moon is in Aries, coming up to conjunct Uranus and square Pluto, trining Saturn at the same time, and in 24 hours it will be sextiling the Sun and squaring Mercury. Sometime tomorrow there'll be an extremely short void moon of about 1 or 2 hours, no big deal. So, seeing as it's still relatively quiet out there, here's my take on the astrological 10th house. The 10th house relates to the 10th sign of Capricorn. Whereas Capricorn deals with attributes such as structure, boundary, work, self-discipline, and the order of things, the 10th house takes this concept into and onto the outside world. Remember, planets in signs show how they manifest through you. Planets in houses show how that energy manifesting in you works through the eyes of the outside world. The 10th house is not to be too confused with the midheaven. The midheaven is always the start of a 10th house, unless you use the equal house system, which in my opinion doesn't work. And the midheaven has to do with words like public image, profile, status. Now, the 10th house does have attributes like this. The 10th house at the neutral level deals with things like work, job, career, but also one's ambition, one's passion for work, one's vocation. It also has a lot to do with one's relationship with authorities, although this is as much connected with the midheaven as with the 10th house. When I say authorities, I mean father, mother, teacher, employer, God, police, state, priest. All systems of authority, whether it be male predominantly or female. The midheaven, the 10th house also has a lot to do with the way one projects oneself into the outside world. If you look at a natural horoscope, you will always see that the 10th house is always the highest point of the chart. It's always the highest house. So it has to do with public image, profile, status, visibility, prominence. It is the way one projects oneself into the outside world as being. It is not the way you are, but it is the way you want the outside world to see you as being. Although again, that does connect with the midheaven. If there are difficult aspects to the 10th house, if someone has a lot of challenges to their 10th house, then they're really going to identify with the notion of being successful as being the raison d'etre, the reason for life. To them, public image, being seen as being successful, fame, notoriety is the main reason for life. And if they're not successful in the outside world, then they don't feel successful in themselves. This can lead to the desire for achievement and recognition above all other. And that's obviously not that important to many people, but for those people with a lot of challenging aspects in the 10th house, it's almost as if they need to sock it to their peers or their parents to say, yes, look, I can be successful, I am worthy, I am good enough. And to them, success can be measured in things like position in the company, how much money they earn, the esteem they're held in, or the admiration they want from their colleagues, what car they drive. Whereas the real reason of the 10th house is associated as much with Capricorn and its chart ruler of Saturn, of course, is that respect is the best currency, and you can't buy respect. You can only earn it. Whereas the positive side of the 10th house is much more to do with achievement. It is to do with feeling good about what one does. It is to feel that one has a fulfilling, rewarding, satisfying career, that one is not so much famous in or always successful, but that one is content in. If you have the sun in the 10th house, or the moon for that matter, you're going to find it's very difficult not to be in the public eye. I've got the sun in the 10th house. It's a pain in the butt sometimes because I'm actually quite a shy Cancerian. Nevertheless, my sun is in the 10th, and whether I like it or not, I'm out there. So I do it in best by trying to teach the world astrology. The sun in the 10th house person, it's like they shine like the sun at midday. They're visible and prominent. Same with the moon in the 10th, or for that matter, Mars in the 10th as well. If you've got Saturn in the 10th, you're always going to be a hard worker, and often success doesn't come till the second half of life, post 40. But then when it does come, it's always going to be really successful. If there are well aspected planets in the 10th house, then as one ages, one gets the respect that I mentioned earlier, and you do become successful, gravitating towards positions of responsibility and authority, often, but not always, ending up working for oneself, or in a position where one is in a position not so much control or dominance, but responsibility for other people, almost like a paternal teacher. The 10th house, if there's a lot of retrogrades in the 10th house, you're going to find that whether you like it or not, you're out there, but often there's going to be the shrinking violet syndrome, where you don't want to be seen, but you can't help it. And this can lead to a degree of shyness, reserve and insecurity. But that's only if there's a lot of, or at least 2 retrogrades in the 10th house. The 10th house has to deal with work and job and career. It is how you push, promote, market, advertise yourself into and onto the outside world. It's not the way you are, it's the way you're seen as being. If you've got a lot of planets in the 10th house, go out there and be successful. But don't measure success in terms of money or fast cars. Measure success in terms of the respect you engender from your peers. Then you know you're being really successful. There you go, folks. That's my take on the 10th house. Enjoy.